Shit. Yeah, Mike would be nice. Yeah, this is gonna be a sloppy stream. This is sloppy. That's okay. It's my birthday today. It's my birthday. It doesn't matter if anything goes right or wrong. I am very well shaved, showered. I look as young as I possibly can. I'm 42 now. That's okay. I don't care if anybody tunes in. I don't care anything. I want to work on my Zelda. The day is not booked, so I get to do what I wish. My kids are at school for another 2 hours. This will be a 2-hour stream of uninterrupted fun. Shout out to all my Scorpio brethrens out there. You know who else is born on this day, October 29th? October 29th. Bob Ross. Bob Ross and I share a birthday. That's quite the coincidence. No? Yes? I think so. That's kind of cool. To me, it's cool. Bob Ross is he's not my favorite artist, but is he not the granddaddy of art streamers? Streaming art before we knew what streaming art was? Well, that's cool. It's good. Happy birthday, Bob Ross. Happy birthday, me. For my sake, I've not been a saint nor a sinner today. I've got up early, wanted to stream, couldn't. My wife needed attention. That's okay. Shout out my wife. And then made my kids breakfast. Always a pleasure. Took them to school. Always fun. Handled myself. Needed to deal with the shedding the old snakeskin. As I say. The painful transformation of grooming. Shedding the old skin. Removing all the plaques and calluses. And it's a little fresh. My skin's a little raw. I look okay. Not bad for someone who fell on his face 7 days ago. Alright, so we're working on this. To recap a little, we went from here. Adding light. Adding... It's so fresh. It actually hurts. Andy, I don't know if you've ever shaved your face before, but I don't recommend it. It's a little painful. We've got Andy Gray in the discussion. Andy, it's my birthday today. Did you know? Oh, there's face injuries. But, they've healed. My neck gets all cut up when I shave. As I avoid it as much as possible. Happy birthday, happy birthday. I was just discussing that Bob Ross and I share a birthday. Not the same date in... I'm 28, 29. I'm 42. So... I like to think of myself as double 21. So it's like my second 21st birthday. So... I like to think I could pass as 31, 32. Not so much. Maybe in maturity. Okay, so here's where we're at. I'm trying to get this finished today. I need to draw some convincing impacts of rain and falling rain. Previously I had rain like this, but this is like cheaty storyboard artist rain. And it looks good, but it's yeah, I don't know if it's quite the yeah, the cheaty the cheaty kind. The cheaty kind looks good, but here I want to learn a little bit about, you know, drops hitting, drops impacting. We'll just make a new layer. But thanks for joining, man. Little birthday stream. Our music today is a super lo-fi 64. I picked this one up at the end of the last stream. My wife and parents are conspiring to show up later this afternoon and get some sort of taco dinner with me. Who am I to refuse? Are you having fun working on these? Diving into this kind of detail, avoiding the common tricks we use for fast stuff? Yeah, I am, because the... I don't know if it sounds douchey, but I'm kind of reaching a little bit of a limit as to what I can learn from, like, no exaggeration, no cap, my friend. But the, I think storyboarding for advertising, not just storyboarding in general, but for advertising, is like the best artistic training you can have. I think it is, because if you're paid to deliver on a deadline and constantly be thinking and pressured to churn it out faster, it's like being the Iron Chef of an artist. Like, you don't know where you're getting until they tell you what to draw, and then you have to draw it as fast as possible. And you're constantly challenged, because no commercial can be the same as another commercial. It's impossible. Unlike a formulaic episodic TV show or whatever, I mean, to be like, I'm sure it's awesome working on movies and film and stuff like that, but you know, that's a different discipline. Where we work in commercials and advertising, we have an adversarial audience where we have to win them over so that they don't hate the commercial. Whereas, like, if you are going to see a movie, presumably you bought the ticket because you wanted to see it. No one buys a ticket to see a commercial. So they're forced to see it. We have to try twice as hard. These are facts. And we have less time to do anything, and all the factors included, and everything has to be novel, and the deck is stacked against us. So it's a greater accomplishment to even make anything happen in commercials. That's my little spiel as far as that goes. Is it's we need to celebrate the and half the time we're selling the people okaying the commercial before it even gets made. Yeah, every commercial has to get made 3 times, and it's all, you know, things have to get approved at the agency level, at the production level, and then, you know, whatever, and then actually created. I don't really know what I'm doing here. This is my first time attempting to, like, really draw raindrops falling. I don't know how far I'll get, but I don't, you know, film and TV guys love to be like, oh yeah, I hate commercials. Can't stand working on commercials because they suck so much and stuff like that. And then they'll, like, be like, yeah, I guess I gotta work this year. I'll take a commercial, and they're like, man, these are hard. Can't wait to not do them. I'm like, homie, you know, it's like, they're hard. Maybe you shouldn't talk so much shit on them. You might learn something if you stick it out next time. It's like, for real, you know, it's like, oh yeah, It's like the pilots versus the Marines. It's like, oh, I can't wait to get back into my B-2 bomber, you know, where like you need a telescope to see them in the atmosphere. Nice and safe up there. It's like, come on, man. We're not B-2, but we're, yeah, no, B-2 bomber. Yeah, really, really fucking high up. So the difference between like, hey man, I'm here, I got a line producer barking up my ass, wants to know where the storyboards are. They needed them yesterday. Director comes in at the last second. They're like, hey, so the girl is now a guy. The toy truck is now a stuffed teddy bear. And we need it all in half the amount of time. Because the executive producer is about to go on a golfing trip. We need you to... We need to present. How's it looking? You know? How's it going? I love it. It's like, how's it going? Oh, gee. That's not a loaded question at all. Then they don't actually present until the person gets back. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they ship it out expecting to get like feedback that day, and they don't get it for 2 weeks. And the whole time they want to hold you, but not book you. Holy moly. This is the life. The life we live. I'm not learning anything. So I went, and I believe I've achieved the limits of what fast drawing... It's not that I've achieved the limits, but it's... But the demand for that stuff right now for me is really waned. Just being honest, I'm not being... If I was booked today, I wouldn't be doing this, and I don't know if there's anything really I can do about the... You know, it's a little bit of a... Is it like a rain dance or a meditative walk? I'm learning more doing this than I am doing the storyboard stuff. I figure if I can't work, I should at least learn. And, you know, I can learn about painting, but not from a professional storyboard artist. Gotta scratch that itch either way, for sure. That's how it is, man. I like the way this is challenging my brain. I'm like, what is the color of rain? Well, it depends, right? There's a... You know, there's a tacit agreement between artist and patron. You know, you take care of me, I'll take care of you. But it's different now. The clients that would keep me busy, and they kept me busy a long time. Very long time, but they can't keep themselves busy right now. Is that their fault? Is that the fault of the industry? It's just changing? Is it temporary? Is it permanent? I don't know, but I can't find shelter where I once found it. The industry's shifting. It is. It totally is. It's shifting. I don't blame it for shifting. And that's sort of what this is like... well, the way, to be honest, I don't know if it's because I'm an anxious person, but I have a spider sense for anxiety. Like I can sense it in myself, I sense it in other people, and I can sense it in the it's like in the zeitgeist. Even like I was, you know, no fresher, but I was watching the Dodger game last night. Fucking World Series is more interesting now than I've ever seen it, which is so funny. But I was paying attention to the ad buys, because that's what I do. You know, I was like, okay, I was expecting to see some of my commercials that I've been working on recently. Surprisingly, I didn't see them. Maybe not surprisingly. I knew that a lot of the projects I'd been working on recently were actually more oriented on the social side. They wanted 9 by 16 formats. We know that's vertical from mobile. And what does that mean? Well, something that's optimized for 9 by 16 can't run on a normal TV without looking weird. That's okay. But what commercials did I see? I'm not sure if I was impressed by them. A lot of the commercials I saw, well, I saw a lot of insurance commercials. You know, thanks hurricanes, I guess, but even that as a subject, like commercials for insurance are difficult. They have to be high concept because people don't like the concept of being insured against things that they can bad things that they can imagine happening. It just makes them anxious. That's why all insurance companies advertise with humor, just sort of making it being like, this isn't that big of a deal, just call Geico. There'll be a friendly lizard that makes jokes on the other side of the call. But I saw more insurance commercials and basically Ozempic, like the semaglutide weight loss drug. Part of the shift I've seen is in the form of getting rid of or foregoing people with storytelling backgrounds being involved with advertising. Absolutely. The preference has shifted to trend chasing meme format stuff by out of touch marketing gurus. It's really interesting to see. I mean, this is a little bit of like, you get what you deserve with this stuff. So I've always been an advertising skeptic. And I like when I bring this up, like a lot of clients are just like, oh no, of course advertising works. Of course it works. I'm like, well, how do you know? It's like, it has to. I'm just like, well, but homie, how do you know? Like most people just skip forward through commercials, or they moan and groan when they see them. Like unless you put a cute dog in a commercial, my wife will just skip right through it, you know? She has to have a reason not to. And yeah, the people are motivated to blaze right past them, and they have the button right in front of them to do it. How do you prevent them from doing it? Or they install an ad blocker or whatever, and they just sort of like close their ears and then go la 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 la, like advertising works, ads work, commercials are amazing, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, homie, like, and that's been the way forever. They always say that. Well, now they have analytics to really spill the beans on whether or not something is effective. And kind of what's effective is like influencers and meme trash and the low effort stuff. You and I are seeing it now. Best example I've shown you of that story-based advertising works is the 80s. Well, it worked in the 80s. There was no other... I agree that the 80s had great balance between that, like that's my, like, when I talk about, like, I have a brain for commercials, it's because I grew up in the 90s and the 80s. The 90s and the 80s, and I understand. Ham, thank you for wishing me a happy birthday. Welcome, Ham. I grew up in the 90s and 80s watching tons of TV, as much as I possibly could. And I remember the commercials, and they live rent-free in my brain. And so I bring some of that knowledge to the... You can see I'm like drawing these water droplets as like big fat juicy comets. This is like the tropical storm version of a rain. So the cartoon stuff we grew up loving, Transformers, TMNT, they only exist because there are laws against advertising directly to kids. So sidestep that to create animated shows, TMNT, Transformers, etc. They were all long format ads. That's correct. So a bit of the Max lore is my mother and father met as storyboard artists on He-Man. There was the He-Man TV show, the original, back in the 80s, and He-Man was a toy that, according to lore, tested beyond their wildest expectations. When they put kids with, like, kids focus groups and they had the He-Man toys, it just exploded, like, in these things. And they're like, we need to get this stuff out there. And you just needed a medium, essentially, to translate. And that was all it was they just needed the content, essentially. Because they had the product. The product was the toys. The content they could produce at a loss and make up their money with the toys. And that's exactly what happened. Those long form ads were better than most of the stuff they make now, though. I'll go back to ads. It's interesting. I don't know what is the best way to how can we... This is like one of those game theory type prisoner's dilemma stuff, because so many shortcuts have been taken. It's because they brought in storytellers and artists. Yeah, it's like, I guess, but... How do you... like, selling our way of doing things is like selling spinach to kids who are addicted to sugar. They won't know that they'll pay the price until they're older. All the incentives are built around the instant gratification that is achievable via, like, the metrics or whatever. Haven't metrics kind of proven that they are kind of unpredictable? There's definitely, like, those who there's been this insistence that and definitely working in the ads has sort of proven this out, is the formula for virality. People purport to have it, but there isn't a like, real virality is something that all advertisers chase but can't achieve. Despite them wanting to do it. They'll go viral for the wrong reasons. Like, look at this, like this viral Chipotle ad will go wrong. It'll go viral because it sucks, and they'll deal with the adverse effects of virality. It's kind of like cult films. You can't make it if you're trying to make it. It's exactly right. It's gonna be, the more you try to grab it, it's gonna slip through your fingers. It's impossible. But their task is to try, so they do try. Well, metrics aren't just being used to judge success of ads. Post-creation now, they're essentially using metrics to essentially build a consumer profile based the creation of the commercial on that data. I saw ads last night during whatever game 3 of the World Series. It's an amazing game. If you love the Dodgers, of course. The ads that I saw, well, I mean, okay, we had insurance ads. There were just, it was nothing but insurance ads and weight loss ads. And then there were these weird ads that they looked like they were made of stock footage. It just looked like they were, do I hear about your dog? Ham, I'm sorry. I am sorry. That was the, at the end, I was rooting for that guy who hit a home run. That was well deserved. It was sad. It was I was mad. I was kind of, you know, we didn't. Oh my god. There's got to be a meme right now. We have to make soup out of whatever shit they give us. That's correct. Hold on. I have to do something right now. New Yorker reactions to World Series. I don't know. Let's see here. I just want to see pictures. There were so many New Yorker crowd. Yankee fan. I'm not seeing what I need to see. What I saw last night was you can't buy a sandwich without somebody mad at it. Do you have safe search on? I might. Because I was thinking it was like every one of those Yankees probably had like politicians on their voicemails, like supermodels, like if you like, hi, you don't know me, but I'm a supermodel, and if you get a home run, I'm gonna blow you so hard when I see you next, wherever it is, I will just drop them. And like they're like, I can't wait to win and get this party, and it just didn't come. And and that wasn't like they didn't. It was just interesting. It was so interesting, the psychological game that was happening. Dude, I don't know how to find what I'm looking for because it's not popping up. But I saw, like, on YouTube, there was a guy, and he was like, they don't have the audio, but he was like, you could just see him mouthing, like, without captions. It was like, you fucking bastard. It was so funny. It might not be in the news. It's just general community attitude at the moment. I guess that's how it is. I'm happily, like, getting distracted from our fun conversation about commercials and stuff like that. Anyway, come on, New York, come back. It'll happen tonight. We're gonna be watching. I'm ready for redemption. It's gotta happen. People, right? They're like, they dreamt about it last night. It's gonna happen tonight. Let's see here. Andy says, I've been in these rooms. There are salespeople leading these conversations or algorithm chasers. There very rarely are creatives actually leading those discussions now. Yeah, it's very interesting. What I've noticed is a vertical condensation, not as a storyboard artist, but industry creatives as a whole. Yeah, what I've noticed is agencies, and I'm talking creative agencies, the agency being the middleman of the creative, being like, we know how to make ads, we know how to do this stuff. What's happening is these, at least as far as like my clients go, is like Microsoft, Google, Apple, and other big tech companies essentially that have big ad buys and think they know the world. They're basically tech bros that are they're just like, we just disrupt everything. The same thing happened in the crypto space. They're like, yo, we just invented this tech that disrupted everything. We're the smartest guys in the room. You know, we don't need to be told what people want. We just had this shit go viral, and today we're trillionaires. We're going to tell you what you need to know, and what you need to do is make a mini series about Bored Apes, and it's going to go through the roof. And we're like, oh, okay, you're shitting. You give us all this money, we'll make it for you. You know, it's just my clients are not necessarily being great stewards of the reputation of their clients by just saying, sure, whatever you say. There used to be more obviously this is like Mad Men era stuff, and all that had its own dark side. Of course it did, but it used to be that clients could not only go to agencies for advocation, but for a little bit of like ego check. Like, you know, there are people that work at Coca-Cola who have big ideas, but if they're the wrong ideas, they need to be told that. Not just said, hey, you're the client, you got all the money. You need an outside opinion, yeah. And a third party, dispassionate kind of like, listen, we don't think that's a great idea. Right now, all of the incentives is based on just instant gratification. If you can get something that just goes viral, gets everybody's attention, good or bad, like, you know, like famousness and notoriety being its own sake for its own sake. I don't know, like, what happened to brand loyalty and other important factors like that? It's weird. I think that it's not like a important theory, but I don't think brand loyalty as like a concept as they discussed it in Mad Men exists the way it did then. The idea that, so I remember seeing this as a topic of discussion in Mad Men, where they're like, well, what if we can get them to switch brands? And Peggy Olson says it's like that people don't ever switch brands. It just doesn't happen. It's like, I'm not sure if that's the case anymore. I'm pretty sure it isn't. Tech is different. And everything is tech now. So how do you can't, the wisdom of old just doesn't apply now. So I don't blame people for, it's not that it doesn't apply. It's just like there's this new world where the metrics of success are, I mean, I don't know. What we used to would, like, you might think something was a failure back in the day, and now it's like a win or whatever. The up is down, left is right. There's no brand. It's not that there's not only no brand loyalty, the brands aren't loyal to their vendors, the vendors aren't loyal to their brands. I was thinking about this today where You know, you can't even buy a ticket for a flight and have any reasonable sense that like you will actually be able to get on that flight. How many times has it happened where, you know, they're just like, oh, something happened, you can't get on that flight. And it's not even something you did. You buy a concert ticket, it gets canceled. You buy... There's no assurances anymore. How do you do business this way? You get hired by a company and then they rescind it. They lay you off or the company itself fails. The concept of like doing business with like a handshake. You can do it, but it doesn't mean what it used to. Let's see here. People don't have the capital to have brand loyalty anymore for the most part. I mean, I agree that. Yeah. Agencies getting a standard plus 15% of the total buy really de-incentivizes agencies from going against startup clients. They know most businesses don't last past 5 years anyway. They don't care about making good product longevity. You just want the ad buy and whatever the running fee is. It's true. It's like... What would be a great example? Like WeWork, what would, I mean, there's just nothing that feels like it has that foundational quality. Buy $200 shoes that fall apart the same day. Yes. If it flops, they don't care. That's a lot of why so many big companies created in-house agencies to steward their brands. They do. They have in-house agencies, and then so the agency middleman has been bisected and then just split into two parts. You've got in-house agencies on the brand side, and you've got the in-house agency people on the production side, and they sort of essentially just connect. Where we'll advocate for us, you advocate for yourselves, and we just need you to actually make the thing. And so it used to be, I mean, when I started out doing storyboarding, my clients were agency. They were in the middle. So I wouldn't be doing production boards. I would be doing boards that would get audited and approved within the agency side or presented to client. Like, you know, the creative agency for Subway would hire me to create boards, not for production, but to audit the ideas internally. You know, I'd be drawing people eating Subway sandwiches and stuff like that. That was fairly common enough. Then I got, I don't know, sucked into somewhat the production side of things. It's very more much more fast paced. And for me, more challenging, more educational. I didn't mind that at all. But what we did was we understood that like there were rules for advertising. Are these rules written down? They're like part of some constitution? No. Well, okay. Well, that means we can just break all the rules. No. The reason there aren't police agencies policing advertising is because the advertising industry polices itself. The last thing you want is the government coming in and regulating advertising on top of what's already there. We're expected to know and understand that you can't have people drink alcohol and then get into a car. And yet I have twice in the last year had commercial productions where that was part of the story. Parents say cheers, they have a drink, and then they go driving. And as an experiment, I was like, okay, I'll draw it that way. I was like, these guys don't know what they're doing. Like, you can't do that. Not on broadcast, at least. I drew it. I sent it out. I'm like, they'll see it. They'll see that it's bad. They didn't see it. Then I had to flag it myself. I was like, hey, you know, I know this has gone through a couple rounds. I just want to flag that these parents are, you know, it's in the script. They're drinking wine, saying cheers, and then they're going for a drive. That wouldn't be something, I'm not sure if we all have the same take on this, but I think that might not pass legal. That's what I'd say. And they're like, oh, wow, you're right. You know, I'm like, of course I'm fucking right. How do you not know this? Legal is a thing. Fucking legal. Fucking legal. Well, if you don't want to redo your commercial from scratch at the last second, well, they're dipshits. But it's like, listen, we all love to drink and drive. But that doesn't mean you want it associated with your brand, right? That's a problem. The doctrine of reproducibility, etc., etc., etc. So there are unwritten rules to this stuff that many people have forgotten. I worked at a literary agency for a year or so, and you would be surprised, lol. If fearmongering themselves into being the final okay for creative. Well, I mean, fearmongering is one thing, but like, I'm not saying like, this is like, it's not woke ideology to insist that people put on seatbelts, you know, in their cars and such. I still draw it that way, you know, because I don't want to forget to be a good influence on the world. I like to live dangerously myself sometimes, but that's not a I don't know, we don't need to chuck out the whole rule book, do we? My issues come from legal inserting themselves where they don't belong. Well, give me a legal story, Andy, because I've touched a nerve. Now you have to say. I mean, my issues with legal come from, and they're not issues, but it's like, I'll draw people on scooters, and I'll have their helmets on. You know, I'll be like, I know, people who ride on scooters have to have helmets, so I draw them with the helmets. They'll come back and they'll be like, helmets, knee pads, and elbow pads, and wrist pads are required in order to pass legal at Disney. We went through a few years of having to get legal approval in all spots, you know. Well, you know, you make the lawyers write all the contracts, you get what you deserve, I guess. It is what it is. We don't have to, I'm not simping for the lawyers. I don't care about legal. It's just, there was a time I know that, like, from my parents' era with, like, the cartoon stuff, like, from the era of He-Man and whatnot, that stuff was very serious. And the government actually understood that it was not like a, hey, we're going to pull a sly one on the government and have a half-hour commercial masquerading as a cartoon. The government knew what was going on. That's why in the 80s they made you run those PSAs quarterly. Do you remember, like, they'd have like a 15-second like interstitial at the end of a G.I. Joe cartoon where they'd say, never forget, don't say, or it would be like, say no to drugs or whatever. The government had to get its hand in on that stuff because they're like, hey, yo, Mr. Commercial masquerading as a TV show, we need your, you work for us now, you know? Let's see here. Then they decided they would become editors. Then they wanted to be okayers of all ideas, even brainstorming. They just needed to give guidance for the do's and don'ts, but they took a chance to grab power from the creative side of the business. I mean, I can't speak to that. I don't have much interaction with the lawyer stuff. And just for the sake of the broader audience, like, the commercial, when it reaches your eyeballs, is often been percolating through several layers of legal and creative and legal and creative and executive and executive and legal and creative and whatnot. And then it gets to the production side where they actually make it. And that's more typically where like I get hired as an artist to like where the idea becomes the rubber that meets the road and becomes the roadmap for a production. And he says, so I don't like legal when they try to usurp creative. I don't like creative trying to get legal either. Yeah. Well, you know, here's another example. Another example, they had in one commercial, they had two parents having a discussion. Two parents drink. This is a completely separate commercial. Two parents drinking wine in one room, having a discussion, and then their kid, who is under 5 years old, comes out of the bathroom, having this is in the script, having just given itself a bath. Unsupervised, under 5-year-old kid. It's in the script. The age of the kid, what the parents are doing, drinking wine, and then the kid comes out of a closed-door bathroom, having finished giving itself a bath. No one at any level of this discussion ever gave a sense of like, hey, is that realistic at all? Like, is a parent supposed to just drink wine with the other parent? Like, it happens, of course, but it's like even alcoholic parents will be like, hey, let's have the door open so we can hear if our child is in distress. Was this a spot for the CPA? What's the CPA? Lol. CPA? Essentially these are this was for you might call it a tech branded company. CPS, yeah. Yeah, or is a 5-year-old capable of bathing itself safely? Now, my 4-year-old, I trust in the bathtub, but not with the door shut and me getting drunk in the other room. No, I'll be near where, like, line of sight where I can see the TV, but I can also see them out of the corner of their eye while I'm folding laundry with my ear pointed towards where they are so I can hear them babbling and make sure they're breathing. There's a difference, right? So, you know, I don't know, like, nowhere in this script someone noticed like, hey, this kid shouldn't be unsupervised, they certainly shouldn't be bathing, they certainly shouldn't have the door closed. And I'm just sort of like, okay, like, again, I had to flag that. I don't know, does that make me a good hire? Or am I like a wet blanket on the creative? Where's my incentive to call this stuff out? When I highlight that people's genius ideas are not genius. The creative gurus are gonna go viral for the wrong reason, you know? What editors are supposed to be for, but they've essentially done away with the role. It's been an interesting world for me to adapt to. It used to be that scripts were like a final script was a final script. I remember when you would get the script and it's like, that script is locked, and we would be like, great, script is locked, means something. You could do something with that. Script being locked now doesn't mean anything. That means draft A. You could lock script. You come in the next day, you got a new script. That's not a, there's no such thing as a locked script anymore. I just laugh when I hear that. No such thing as a locked script. No such thing as a final edit. No such thing as a final draft. Everything is subject to revision, and you never even heard that before? Locked script? It used to be a thing. Not said to you? Okay, yeah. Locked scripts. L-O-C-K-E-D. A locked script was something that essentially that passed legal. All the things. Executive approval, all the things. Locked script. But it turns out, though, that executives aren't reading their scripts. Executive producers on the production side aren't reading things. They're not flagging things. No one's paying attention as to whether or not something is executable. Like I get scripts and I'm like, I know you guys have $1 billion, but like even this script is beyond your budget. But no one can see that. There's no one who has any kind of imagination or experience in the pipeline anymore. It's just yes men, top to bottom, hoping they, I don't know, like this was bad before COVID. Then COVID happened and a lot of people were worried about being fired, so people were good at their jobs for a minute. And then everybody realized they could just dick off and do anything they wanted while they were supposed to be working. And I'm not just blaming COVID, obviously, but it's like there's a authenticity and accountability problem in the world right now. We don't know what's real and what's not. Everything is misinformation. It makes me sound like conspiracy pilled. I'm not really. It's the truth that there isn't, for better or for worse, it feels like people aren't checking, like fact checking viability or, we'll let you know when we're done. You hear nothing, get a check. Yeah. Everybody, I mean, I'm among a sea of creative people. I feel like I'm the only one who says like, hey, I just want to point out that this one thing, I might be old fashioned, but I think people should, if possible, be depicted as wearing seatbelts when they're driving. It's good. It's good practice. Best practices. Just talks a lot. But it's not like I get any kind of whistleblower bonus for about the practicality. Yeah, no, there'll be like 2 scripts that are being considered, and one of them involves like reusing sets and performances that already exist for the most part, or like models or CG or whatever. It's basically a and then like one like reinvents the entire universe from scratch and introduces a whole new aesthetic and has 1,000 times the risk for like half the reward. And I'm like, homie, which one do you think is like, both are good conceptually in a vacuum, but compared to one thing that costs nothing and is going to be good versus another thing that costs 10 times as much and totally diverts the whole train, like which one do you think is going to win? But they want to see both, so I'll draw the one that I'm like, this isn't going to get made. Lo and behold, it doesn't get made, Got nothing extra doing an editor's job, of course, yeah. And it's like all the reward is for simply becoming more and more cynical and jaded about the entire experience. Like, what if you were a fireman and you rush into a burning building, risking your own life to save someone, and then like they're like, oh, thanks for saving me. And I'm like, you're welcome, citizen. And then they like just go back to like starting a fire in their living room, like they had learned nothing. And you're just like, oh, I'm this am I a joke to you? It's a little bit like, maybe I should do something else. It's like corporate, like, come on. Scott Adams made himself a bit of a persona non grata these days. That's his own doing. But the But the Dilbertification of advertising and entertainment is where we find ourselves now, and it's a little tragic. Didn't have to be that way. Competency is in no way a prerequisite for decision-making roles. It's not. The ability for it's just weird. I can't. No one's paying attention to their best interests. And it's not clear why. Like, why don't you care? Why do I care more about your outcomes than you do? No incentive. Like, is it some sort of brain rot? Like, and it's tricky, but there's a sad sense that I get where it's sort of its own like reinforcing prophecy where people making decisions about this stuff are only interested in quarterly numbers. Literally nothing else matters to them. They just sort of see it as like this. The outcomes are just beyond their control, as if there's no way to know. Maybe from their perspective it is, or whatever. But I used to believe in the power of this stuff to make a difference. Like you can be cynical about brands, but you know, consumerism is like the vanguard of American capitalism. The choice of choosing which crappy fast food restaurant you wanted to take your family to was a uniquely American experience. That's what brought down the Berlin Wall. That's what toppled the USSR. The consumerism only drives capitalism if people can consume, or like care about what they consume, I guess, or whatever. Brands used to make commercials like love letters to the American consumer. The old, when I was a kid, there was a McDonald's character. I think his name was Mac. Mac Tonight. Yeah, he was like a you know, this guy. He was like a vibe, you know? Andy, do you remember antenna balls? Or the people, or anything other than making shareholders more profitable. Consumerism only drives people to consume, but shareholders driving profits toward the top, causing inflations, reduces people's ability to spend and be consumers. Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, it's tricky. But I don't think this is like plunging off a cliff. I really think we're, it's just something I sense, but it feels like we're essentially hitting a wall. Like, I agree with you with what you're saying, but I think a lot to do with this is like metrics based management, like that. Like, to me, the problem with like advertising in Hollywood right now is they like, the trend right now is to make money by firing people, canceling projects, and merging or selling or making big deals with AI stuff. All of these things, you do them and they can drive your stock price up. If that's all that matters to you, then you can... It almost looks like you typed shit term profits, but you meant to write short. There's a wall for that. You can only cancel so much stuff before you have to actually eventually start getting back into, hey, what are we about? What are we going to make? Quarterly profits drive everything right now. Here's the thing. And actually, I was seeing some stuff in the news today. Let's look at the NASDAQ. I don't know if it's today or if it's tomorrow. When's the news happening? Stock market today, NASDAQ heads for a record close as investors await Alphabet earnings 49 minutes ago. Okay, but I see a lot of stuff where it's just like, dude, any second now there's going to be a crazy crash. It's yeah, it's just unmanageable. Politics, the divisive politics in this country are not helping as well. But what's happening is the tension is winding. It's winding, it's winding, it's winding. People are squeezing what they can. Eventually, they have to show that the emperor has no clothes, and there's going to be pain, and then healing can begin, but it's tricky. If it's not happening soon, it'll just be worse, you know? That's what's driving the layoffs and all that. A lot of these companies have maxed out their potential consumer pool. It's true. Like, you can't have exponential growth. A lot of what's driving the stock market right now, not a lot, like probably 60 to 70% of what's in the stock market right now is just speculative. It's really scary. And so if you can sell, can't sell, you know, where people, the only way to raise profit is to cut costs, can't sell me up. Yeah, streaming's basically maxed out as far as audiences go. I'm like streamed out. Like when they say, "Oh, your subscription is about to expire," I'm like, "Cool, cancel." They're like, "Oh wait, we made a mistake. How about we'll give you a full year for half off?" And I'm like, that sounds a little bit more reasonable. But I wouldn't miss it to just cancel it. Something's got to give. At the supermarket, at every place, they've hit a ceiling. People are just like, cool, I'm just not going to buy that. Happened already with cars and stuff like that. Rabid dragon culture is killing everything. Yeah, social media is... it's interesting. And it's funny to see, like, and to like philosophically consider like the ramifications of like how like the AI, like the ultimate cheap, low effort, looks good but isn't, world's cheapest instant dopamine hit, instant gratification kind of slop. It's just the icing on this shit cake. It's just the turd icing on this shit cake. It's so funny. It's like, this is what you guys deserve. It's like, what flavor is this cake? Oh, it's shit cake. Your favorite. It's what you deserve. Not like I'm not talking about like you or like people who consume stuff. It's just you want to win by cheating. Not you, but, you know, I'm talking to the people who are trying to be the tastemakers in this brand new world, having no respect for consumers. As people who deserve to get their money's worth on something they purchase. I'm adamant about no more billionaires for those reasons. I mean, I have to agree, like, what is the point of a billionaire? I'm not a, I'm not like politically super left or a socialist, but I definitely have my skepticism about, like, hey, well, what happens is, you know, again, you know, this is, advertising does this to you, but you realize it's like you get sold one thing, but you actually bought another. It's like, what are you getting sold and what are you actually buying? Is the reality true, or did you just buy like a load of bullshit? You're buying, you know, I don't know, like, you want the real thing, whatever it is you're getting. You don't want to get like counterfeit goods, right? Feels too much like corporations and brands have opted to allow for their products to get corrupted, to like instead of selling the thing, they're selling the conceit of the thing. And, you know, as long as it sort of looks like people are happy, then that's good enough. I don't know. Okay. There's no point. They can't spend the money in any useful way. I mean, most billionaires are billionaires on paper more than anything else. Let's see here. They can't gain it without exploitation. Well, they can't sell their stock without tanking the markets. When they hit 999 million, give them a trophy that said they won capitalism. Yeah, I've seen that meme too. I agree with that. Like, what is the point? Like, you've got more money than you could possibly spend in a lifetime. Like, it's good. You and like 3 generations of your family are set up. You get the infinite money card. Put it into some sort of trust for people, because, you know, you don't deserve it. You don't deserve to keep it forever. You couldn't have possibly earned it the honest way. Let him prestige like Call of Duty. Start from zero. Prove you can pull yourself up by your bootstraps and do it again. I didn't play Call of Duty, but I understand that's a it's like a fun. In Zelda, that would be the second quest of the original Nintendo game, where You start again, but all the items and the level bosses and the levels are in are in different places than the original quest. It's like twice as hard or something. New Game Plus. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey, Scroll Reaper, what's up? Yeah, you get some new skins, you know. You prestige like 10 times on Modern Warfare 2. I didn't read, but when I was doing the Apex stuff, I tried to catch myself up on all the lore of the Titanfall series. And I remember them sort of seeing that, like, after you beat the game, you could essentially reboot yourself as a simulacrum. Because apparently you die in the game or something. Spoiler alert. But you reboot yourself as a like a cyborg, essentially, and sort of continuing on to do more or something like that is true, right? Anyway, today, so, like, with all this said, you know, what do we do? What do we do in this world where this cheap, I don't know, what's getting pushed in front of us is cheap, low-effort fodder for, you know, the mindless scrolling minions of the world. And like, I don't necessarily know what to do, but I know what I don't want to do. I'm not going to learn anything from chasing more shortcuts and cutting my timelines in half anymore. Let's try. How far can I march in the opposite direction of that? I want to, if anything, learn how to do things the hard way, the long way, and really feel like I learned it and not just like I had the appearance of learning it. Make the best products we can and play the capitalism game as best as possible, best being your own subjective version of what that means to you. Exactly. There's no, I don't want, so I have an Instagram account it's like a figure drawing Instagram account that has, it has like 5,000 followers for my figure drawing. And that's a good following, except they're bot followers. I don't know who or how it happened, but someone, I don't know if a person thought they were doing me a favor or not, but it, you know, through no fault of my own, there's a huge percentage of people who follow me on Instagram, my figure drawing account, that are not real people. Or if they're real people, they are not real consumers of the content that I produce. They're not an audience. Not that I would recognize as an audience. It's not real, and I don't want fake stuff. Yeah, it happened with my Twitter account, maybe 200 followers are bots. On my Twitter account, the only interactions I get is with botted sex workers. Like people just messaging me like, hey, you know, whatever. I'm like, you're a sexy bot. You know, good for you, but I'm not interested in. It's like fake interactions for fake people. And that'll get you so far, maybe. But I'm not interested in any of that stuff for myself. I just want the real thing. If I fail at whatever I do, but it's real, I'll take it. I'm actually pretty happy that Blue Sky, I'm not receiving bot follows. I'm not seeing any bots on Blue Sky either, which is commendable to itself. Pretty sure social media following is like dating sites. Yeah. I am not, you know, I don't know. I don't know what I want other than, you know, I'm okay. I don't want to explode on social media if it means being okay with being fake. That's not okay. That's just being fake, you know? It's not success at any cost or something that like, oh, you're so successful or whatever. It's like, cool. You know, whatever, but like, it has to be real. What do you guys think of these drops? I think they kind of look pretty good. Just kind of, this is sort of like the aesthetic here is like big juicy drops that are just hitting and making everything super soaky. Let's see here. I'm pretty sure some dating sites, mostly fake to driving game. Yeah, it's like fake. And that's what that bothers me too, is like the, it's all about like, ooh, social media is great for ads or whatever. But I mean, half the internet is bots. Probably 60% of the internet is bots right now. Probably even more so on social media. Like I work in advertising. Half of the base is fake. It's just fake on top of fake on top of fake. Like, I don't want to make my bed here in the long term. Not anymore. It's just like this is like how competitive cycling or competitive sports and stuff like that, like baseball and all that stuff, like growing up, Andy, I know you feel me, you're of my age, like where it went too far with what is it, Sammy Sosa and Tom McGuire? Is it McGuire? The guys, you know, those roided out guys. Mark McGuire. Here, let's get a sense. I remember Jose Canseco too. Mark McGuire. He's not so big anymore. Dude. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Huh. Mark McGuire big. I'll just type Mark McGuire big. It's funny because it's like, this is not AI, but this guy looks like AI, you know? Todd McFarlane driving the hype. Todd McFarlane is a big, like, that's a great quote about the, because Todd McFarlane himself was just a shitty hype machine. You know, where's the big... This guy was like a bull. It's like you can smell the drugs coming off of this guy. These are not great photos. Who did he play for? Padres? Cardinals. He's like so red. Well, he was only following the incentives of the time, right? But it can be like, if everybody does that, it's like, what do you do? It's like you can't say that Mark McGuire was doing something that didn't make sense for him to do at the time, right? That stuff was, you know, the steroids and all that stuff, it was everywhere, getting super juiced up. And of course, we're also talking about Lance Armstrong. You know, in case anybody needs to be reminded of him. Top of this game, this guy was like a world hero until it all came crashing down and he got struck down. And, you know, was it worth it? This guy's infamous for being a cheater, essentially. Olympics, yeah, the Tech Bros are starting an Enhancer Olympics to bring this back. Interesting. Where does metrics-based outcomes get you? If all you care about is outcomes in terms of getting that dopamine hit, you are on a path for, I mean, like, the bigger, like, more and more and more, eventually become a black hole and you collapse on yourself, you know? And then no one wants to go near you. You're universally toxic, right? What a crazy story, right? I don't want what we do to turn into those kinds of stories, but it's like, it feels like it's too late. It's already on a collision course with like creativity being this thing. I get that it wasn't fair, that it was gatekept by advertising gurus, creative gurus that were idiots. That wasn't fair. None of that was fair. None of that was good. That doesn't mean we throw open. Doesn't mean the solution to that is to strip away all the rules and all the incentives so that everything's back. It's all topsy-turvy, backwards, upside down. What do we do? You know, how do we get it back? Should we get it back? Does it matter? The world doesn't matter. It's like nothing's going to happen. Nothing. What bad is going to happen if we live in a world without effective commercials? It's like nothing. Nothing matters. You know what I get from this that I don't get in my job anymore? I'm not sure what happened, but it used to be that I could feel like I did a good job at what I did. I don't get that anymore. I don't know. I don't know what's different. Yeah. Like, people used to be like, they'd bother to say like, I saw behind the curtain. I don't know. I don't know if I saw, but I just remember feeling like I got so much out of what I did that it made it worth it, that the downside was worth it. I used to get affirmations on the things that I did. People would be like, that's incredible. I can't believe you just did that. Where did you come from? Whatever. Now it's just, they just take good work as if anything is good work, and that it's all just for granted, and it's all just going to go in the blender and get chopped up to mush anyway. They probably don't even look at it. They just look, oh, cool. Ticked all the marks. Everything, let's see here. Passes the spell check. The point has been changed. It's about the speed more than the outcome. It's about the iterating. It's about feeling like, I don't know what it's about. But I get more out of this than I do in my work. It used to be that I would feel like I was part of a team and it made a difference. Now, if there's a team, I don't see them. I don't get a chance to chat with them and connect with them and feel that I understood why, you know, like if I would be at a studio and I'd be in a bankroll of artists and we were all working together to hit a deadline at the same time, we could connect like that. We really did feel like that was a common goal and that we would succeed or fail together. It's not like that anymore. It's nothing like that anymore. If they want to, let's see. It's about someone else feeling good, taking credit for the work now. Yeah, I have to say at least once a day, do you want this done well or do you want it done quickly? Because you can't have both. And if they want to argue, I can argue with you about it. And the action is they can't have both. Andy says, I missed out on that entirely. Huh. I don't want to be a victim of these changing priorities and incentives. I'll tell you, I've had some jobs lately where and it's tricky because it's not that the artists that I'm working with are bad. It's just that they have been so chewed up and spat out on this project. The aesthetic for this project is so... It's so run through the mill, and all there's no room for an individual artist's creative spin on the visual. There really isn't. It's a homogenized processed, you know how like a grain of rice or wheat has all these layers and coatings and like the fibers that are good for you, but they put it through the mill and they grind it and they grind it and they strip it and they strip it and they strip it, and all the bits of things that are actually good for you are gone until it's just this chain of glucose, basically. Like a molecular piece, a Lego of sugar is what it becomes. Easily digestible Lego sugar. But the visual equivalent, that's the style, and those are the projects that have been hiring me lately, where the world is seen as something that you can just depict with sugar, visual sugar, spun visual sugar, like cotton candy. Good for nobody. Not good for me to make it, not good for anybody to look at it or consume it. Educates nobody, does nothing other than quickly pass the instant palatability test, challenging nothing on the way down. And I told myself, okay, I'll deal with this and I'll try to learn something. And after months of learning nothing from it, I'm just like, I'm so tired of being forced to participate in this chocolate factory. It's gross. I don't want it anymore. I want a salad. I want spinach. I want to do things the hard way. I want to draw something that no one else can follow up and draw if they need to, because it's hard. That's what I want now. I'm gonna dig my own moat now. And I'll leave the road signs if they can read them. They can follow too. But this is, this isn't gate kept. The whole process is here. But I don't know. I don't know if there's an audience on the other side. But I don't want to keep going into Candyland. Depends. Sometimes you have quality and speed. A logo designer in 10 years may be able to put about something in a few hours. That would take a newer designer 2 weeks. Brings, how do you value art worth when it isn't based on time spent? Yeah, it's true. Especially considering a business could make a quicker return with a faster produced ad set and churn more money than something that took a month to finish. Well, I'll tell you something. This is an interesting point. Because this has been an issue for me too, is I will be I'll be on a project and I'll get the script and I'll be like, okay, like I've got the solution and I rough out it's like given the script, like this is a great solution. It's just perfect. But it goes up the chain and people just sort of see it as like, well, this is like a round one effort, so let's pick it apart because we have a whole week to finish this and we need to we have to have a comment on something. Something can't be done in the first day, let alone, never mind, I built my reputation in this industry by knocking shit out of the park in very quick order. Things didn't need the notes, but now it's sort of this thing where now I get paid by the hour. Like it's not, I actually make less money if I finish a job quickly. That doesn't mean I try to string things along. I've always tried to make sure clients understand. It's like my first day is my best day. You're gonna get the hardest hit, best take on day one. And I I hope you like it. Let me know what you think. But now it's like they just see good work, like great work, as a starting off point to start feeding me notes about nothing. And then it happens. They just grind it and grind it and grind it and grind it and grind it out. But yeah, and then they're like, they know I'm doing good work, so they keep extending me. But they don't recognize the solution when they see it. The solution was day one. They saw it already, and they rejected it essentially for the sake of, cool, well, we know that at the end of our timeline, we'll reach the answer. They didn't realize they had it on day one. They just kept grinding and grinding and grinding. Until at the end, it's just this pink slime. And they're out of time. They're like, cool, this must be the answer. It's like, that's disgusting. It's just disgusting stuff. I wouldn't put it on my reel. It's not good. And he says, I think having background in advertising gives us more options. Pam says, my old boss charged a flat rate. We fixed MacBooks and iPhones. I used to fix MacBooks back in the day. And they would be upset when it only took 15 minutes. And he would say, you pay $150 because it took me 10 years to learn repair it at 50 minutes. And I hold on to it for a day. I will hold on to it a day if it will make you feel better. Yeah. I know that doesn't translate to creative jobs, but it helped me understand at least. I bet on both sides. I know what you're talking about. It's really hard for people who've never freelanced or owned their own business to make genuine value judgments on time and efficiency. That's in terms of ROI. This is that Squirrel Reaper was saying. This is that the lady who designed the Citibank logo did it in like 5 minutes, and well, I don't know what she charged, but it was probably like 20 grand or something like that for like 15 minutes of worth of work. But she knocked it out of the park in 5 minutes. It was just a little sketch, just needed a little finishing. And yeah, the client complained a little bit, like, well, why should we pay so much when it took you so long? And it was like, well, I know what I'm doing, and you pay for me for the time, for all the time, not just the time that it took to execute, but the time to learn to execute it. That's why they work for other people or companies that handle that, and it's hard to teach it. There's been this infiltration of our collective bosses are not necessarily who they should be, you know. Square Reaper says, right, and also the equipment used, the wear and tear, and how much the cost of living for the person is, general cost of what it takes to fix, and the price and the value of what is needed for the person taking the job. True. I'm kind of like wanting to get to the point where people really... Here's what's happening. Here's what I want to get to. Right now what's happening is people are hiring me ostensibly for my ability to execute their ideas, but what they're also getting is they are getting the value of my experience essentially for free. Essentially for free, they get the value of my experience, because that's not really factored into the cost. Not really. And I want it, I don't care who the client is. I just want people to be like, Max, what is your take on this thing? Because that's what we want. We want your take. You're the guy who knows this stuff better than we do, and we want your take, and that's what I want. And I used to feel like I was tasked with that and was asked to deliver that. Like, it was implicit. They're like, we're hiring Max specifically to get this. But these days on these projects where I'm like what I was talking about, where I'm spinning sugar, that anybody could have been drawing the stuff that I was asked to draw. They didn't have to be hiring me. They were like more hiring me for my ability to like stick out and grit through a difficult client situation. They want it good, cheap, and fast. Well, I mean, like, I'm not necessarily cheap, but I am fast, so that's a little bit like cheap. Can't have all of them, sorry. And he says, or Ham says, we have the experience value at my job now too. Is every industry. I've also had to explain that me sprinting isn't a long-term solution or project. If it's a marathon, you can sprint the whole time and not die. You can't sprint the whole time and not die. Yeah, I'm a better sprinter than I am a marathon guy. This project is a little bit of the marathon stuff. This is me trying something different, like a little bit of like, hey, how do I do this without getting sick of it? Like, how do I work on something for, you know, this is going on a whole year. November 3rd or 13th or something like that. This will be my upcoming anniversary on the Zelda project. That's kind of cool. Let's get some water in the... It's like, here I am, not drawing anything, just ranting. You guys are cool to hang out with me on just my little ranty thing. I've got about 10 minutes before I gotta go pick up my kid from preschool. But this has been a fun, worthy birthday distraction. Squirrel Reaper says, for the past 2 years, I've been an intensive mentorship so I can be good and fast, churn out a game, ready 3D character in 2-3 weeks. Awesome. Then it's like, then the question also begins though. It's like, that's what they expect. How does one, I don't know how, this is the other factor is like where I'm getting with this stuff now though, is like, I don't know how to break out into a new space. I know, we've chatted about this before, like, you know, I don't have any experience in like starting over in a world post social media. That's my kind of concern these days for my just for myself is like, okay, it's one thing to say I'm done, I'm going to do something else. How do I do that? Like me and everybody else trying to figure out how to be relevant in a world where everybody just looks at their phone all day and stop looking at social media as social. Is that it? Is it just business? That's interesting. Business is personal. That's what I've said that before. But like let's say like me with the skills I have, but let's say I had no reputation. Let's say somehow I formed in a void right now, all skill but no reputation. I had to start from zero. How would I even do that, you know? And when the industry is changing, it's so different, right? How do you pick a lane and say commit? Niche down. Yeah, it's a little bit what I'm trying to do right now. People who have large social media followings make money on sponsorships and ad revenue. Big brands don't start from zero on social media by advertising, and people who are already big or hitting the audience you're after. I like the finding three niches that complement each other. Andy, it's not like what you're saying isn't true. I think the problem with how that might apply to me is that sounds like it's exactly what I do right now, except worse. Because like right now I'm beholden to the whims of, essentially it's trickle down corporate success, right? And it's not something I'm like, oh, I'm not grateful for, you know, having made money as an artist and stuff like that, doing what I'm doing. It's like I am. But long term, it's eroding my... It's been happening pretty solidly for the past 2 years. The changes that I'm seeing that are the changes is what's being demanded. I used to be able to get by on quality and experience and reputation. And lately, it's like I'm getting hired for my ability to eat shit for a paycheck. Just take a job that no one wants to do. Or like an artistic role that's really hard to fulfill. I'm hoping that the scroll, as you were saying, it's like invest in myself a little bit. Well, I mean, part of this is like, okay, I'm gonna figure out how to get consistently good results with like my color stuff, and then figure out if I have any appetite for doing things on my own long term. I'm feeling more optimistic about those prospects now. Like, okay, probably allow for a little bit more. A little bit more of that. Here, I'm gonna put one of these rain layers in the deeper background. I'll adjust the angle a bit. There we go. And he says, sounds like time of history. IP is where the money is. I'm wondering, yeah, it could be. Okay, you're already there. You're already ready on the skill and art side. I feel like I'm okay in agreeing with you there. Whereas normally, like what is it? The reverse Dunning-Kruger effect? Or what is it the thing? Is like people who are bad don't know that they're bad, so they so they're over cocky, and people who are good are self-conscious, so they hold themselves back. And I'm definitely in the imposter syndrome side of the equation, but people who have said, stick with me, Max, and I'll lead you to the promised land, have their wisdom has not borne out in recent times. They have it's not like that. It's just it's hard times for everybody, and they've had to sort of explore their options, and now I gotta explore mine, you know? Whoever says, like for me, I'm thinking 3D printing, 2D illustrations, graphic design can make a nice combo, and just selling a designer toy packaged in a presentable box. Yeah. And he says, not to throw shade at anybody, but plenty of people nowhere near as skilled and proficient as you, making bank on their own stuff. This is like something I've also noticed. I'm like, all right, well, maybe I could try at least as hard as that guy. Selling a 3D model, go to a manga sale. Agreed. They dump more experience into marketing themselves. Yeah, here's the thing is like, so I agree with you 100%. Like, I'm like, okay, this person's ability to get to be successful, like on in the venture that they're doing, is entirely based on their ability to like lie on a Kickstarter. And it's not like that is a reason to, you know, hate on people necessarily, but, you know, and I want to do this with a clean conscience and not make enemies along the way, but, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna hold myself back anymore. Maybe that's it. It's like, okay, what do I want to say? What do I want to do? I don't know necessarily yet. I don't have any genius IPs leaping to mind necessarily, but I could develop them in the next year and a half while I try to transition out of storyboarding and just see where it ends up. Meanwhile, I can practice on stuff like this and see where it gets. But like, I'm extremely adverse to because I see the Here's what I don't want to do. These illustrations with your own characters, your own environments. I mean, like I'm not really necessarily seeing as none of this is like extremely difficult in the execution here. I just needed, you know, a little bit of time and persistence to sort of work out some things, and I think I've kind of got it. So I will be getting into it. And who do you want to sell to? You can make 2 customer profiles, 1 main customer, targeting a secondary customer, and try to find the balance between the 2. I think no matter what I want to do, I want to do it without feeling like I'm prostituting myself, which is, I know that's sort of like, well, what do you want to do, dude? But like, I'm already doing what I'm doing. Like, if I want to debase myself for money, like I'm already doing that. I don't want to do something that is personal, but then also debases myself for money. If it has to be a truly personal project, I'd like to do it without having, and this is a tricky thing, but like art that, you know, I've always had this sort of issue with like, well, you're making money by art. And it's like, that's great, except you know, in order, like, I was okay making a living as an artist in commercials because it was like the sort of like the prostituting of my talent came as a given. Like, there wasn't like it's not like, oh, you work in commercials, oh, you're a prostitute. Well, it's like, I know it. Like, you do it too, you just don't know it. I have no idea why that person's calling me. Ham says, you said this isn't hard, but okay, this is the best art I've ever seen. But okay, Max, what do you want to sell to? Yeah, so like over the next year, because now I'm feeling like I can like, okay, build this out, make pieces, see about whether or not like having an audience is smart to do or anything like that. But I want to do this in a way that makes it feel like, I just realized that person is probably calling me because it's my birthday and he's just saying happy birthday. Artists have always been mercenaries, 100%. Scorpio says, so customer 1 for beer enthusiasts might be Bob the beer enthusiast. I like your, this is a fun visual connotation here. Bob the beer enthusiast, he's out of college and has a successful career. He'd like to try new beer once a week. Customer 2 could be Wendy the single mom. Ooh. She likes to enjoy a good beer with friends once or twice a month. I'm okay thinking about, like, I do like the idea of doing more thought into like, what is my audience? Like, what are these things? Like, I like thinking about audiences and price points and like, I like business. I like art as business. I like thinking about it this way. What I don't like is when people hype their skills that they shouldn't be hyping because they're, or like tout themselves as experts that they're not experts in. Like, I don't want to be the Donald Trump of the or Andrew Tate of like these, you know, these people are just full of shit, and you know, if you lie, a certain amount of people will always believe you and you can make money off of that, but then you have to live with yourself as a fraud, and you have to spend the rest of your time on earth lying about the lies you already told and stuff like that. I was like, I don't have to do that. It may take longer, but I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. I'm going to grind it out slowly. There's always been mercenaries, Da Vinci, Michelangelo, 100%. Like, I'm not worried about, like, oh, the artists have to be pure. Like, I know that's a fantasy. We're a trade. We ply our trade. It's no different than, you know, a carpenter. Humble Jesus, the carpenter. Yes, you know. Took money from patrons to fund their own interests. Yeah, no different from anything we would do. If you sell to anyone, you won't make any sales. Scorpio says, yeah, I'm just doing off a ton of marketing for creative advice. You already know I'm still grinding it in the industry, but this idea is to keep track in the back of my mind. Pretty much treat myself as customer 1 to agree when I make things. Agreed, yeah. Would you buy your own shit? I guess that's part of what I'm thinking is like, as someone who feels like I can smell bullshit, like I have a high, like it takes a lot to get me to buy art from other people. So it's something I'm I'm not necessarily going to leap at the chance to contribute to other people's stuff. That said, I want to be a good neighbor to the artistic community, so I am trying to get a little bit more participatory. Again, the Twitch stuff is part of that, having to do with... Okay, real quick, because I haven't been very educational this stream. I've sort of been drawing in automatic mode. I'm lucky that I can do that. Some of these drops need to get recolored, but essentially what I've tried to do is add drops impacting on all the various surfaces in the foreground at the depths at which makes sense. So where light is hitting this and making the rock this color, if a drop hits it, I want it to be more in tune with that color. We can kind of see that I made a sense of that happen here. And then same thing here on like all of these drops are essentially reflecting the color of this light. And that looks cool. This drop is going to reflect some of the lightning light in the background. So that's going to have its own thing. That's neat. But the drops look fat. They look juicy. They look like they're falling. They look good at a distance. And so from here, what I'll probably do is just strike some adjustments. Maybe get some rendering on Link over here in the background a little bit. And I might do that again when I come back from dropping off my kid. No one has to stick around for that, but I gotta hop in the car and go get him now. So I really appreciate everybody popping into the chat. Scroll Ripper, you get sort of the last word going for what the marketing for creative advice. You already know. Oh yeah, we already said that. Yeah, be your own best customer, I guess, right? Thank you. I will. Be safe. You all be safe. Don't injure yourself on my birthday. I will not forgive you. But if you get a chance, have a toke on me or a drink, whatever, pick your poison. Toast it out to old Maxie, and I might be here again in a little bit, but no worries if you don't stick around either way. I am trying to finish this out today, this image, and there's just a few more things I want to tweak, so we'll see. All right, catch you later. Adios. Eat one Reese's cookie in my honor. Oh wait, really quick 50-50 to get the to get my precious thumbnail in there. These do look good. That's a good one. All right. Adios, amigos.